It's with the greatest of pleasures to introduce another platinum sponsor for TutorFest 2025. We talk a lot about growing your tuition business on this podcast, and we all know that teaching online can be one of the highest leverage ways to accelerate growth. But many students and parents are scarred by the awful pandemic era experience they had learning online. The right teaching platform can really help you prove that online education is actually a great, convenient option. Lessonspace is one of our sponsorship partners for TutorFest 2025 and the best way to teach online. It's a platform designed by tutors for tutors to make online teaching as seamless and interactive as possible. With a collaborative whiteboard and library of interactive tools and resources, it helps you transform each lesson into an engaging experience as good as in-person learning. Sign up for a 2-week free trial today and use the code TutorFest25 for 50% off your first 3 months. That's TutorFest25, all caps, no spaces. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Grow Your Tutoring Business. Today I want to talk about luck versus hard work, which is better than the way I just started, which I just started saying about hard luck. Hopefully none of us experience hard luck. I'm sure some of us do. I was chatting to somebody the other day who was saying like how one bad thing's led to another bad thing, but it's really easy to get kind of sucked into a spiral, and then it's really hard. Like it takes a quite strong mindset just to kind of press the reset button and carry on, which is kind of like the theme for this podcast, because I think I say this a lot. I'm in a very privileged position in that I talk to a lot of tutors and I listen and I read comments from a lot of tutors, and you can see those who have done that work around the mindset and those who haven't, or perhaps in the midst of doing that work on strengthening how they view themselves and becoming the person they need to be so that they can either grow their tuition business or just take a step towards the person or the job that they want to do next. Because those that are leaving the classroom, lots of us are very reluctant to use the word broken, because I feel that's so negative and it's not always fair to say that. And then there is an element of vulnerability about us, because often we've had that self-esteem's taken a big bashing. Perhaps our confidence in ourselves has just worn away over time. The messages that we've received as teachers have often been negative. And I come at this with like love for all levels of education, because even those are the ones who are performing in this way, the senior leaders who aren't communicating in the way that is right for us. So maybe they're not that people person that we need in those like vulnerable moments, and they're just being very much driven by data, or they've got their own pressures and they're not able to turn up in the way that they would want to, or the way that you need them to. So I come at it with love, because I've worked with these people, I've experienced it myself, and I look back and yes, there used to be quite a lot of like resentment and anger, but I see that they're just trying to like cope with things in their own way, whether that's right or wrong. And yes, we're totally okay to sidestep those kind of things and make those decisions based on what we need, rather than the fact that we feel this tie to the school, to the children we teach, etc., etc. So look, we bring hard work to the table when we run a business, without a doubt. And there are also elements of luck to running a business too. I think I did a podcast quite a while ago on timing and why I think timing is important. Hard work versus luck, though, it doesn't quite seem a fair match. But I realize and recognize that when I first started my business, I'd look at what others were doing and how well they were doing or how fast they were growing. And it's hard not to feel envious. It's hard not to have these stirring of emotions. And I think that's perfectly normal. But we still need to try and protect ourselves a little bit, like of the reality check. Like, actually, should I be comparing? Should I be envious? Is this just not could I not use this as inspiration, for example? But I'm not. I certainly didn't start in that way. That was not my starting position, my starting mindset. It's grown like that over time. Don't get me wrong. I still sometimes look at like people who are absolutely smashing. I think, well, why aren't I doing that? What am I missing so far? Is there like a secret magic wand? By the way, I know there isn't, but there's times when I feel like I want to find that thing so that my courses sell better or that I get more bums on seats in my tuition or quicker as well. Like it, I think these things are completely normal. However, so actually let's normalize it. However, on the flip side of that, is there a way of using some of these experiences that we have and the feelings that we have to drive us forward? I have noticed a trend with those who are more successful compared to those who are still trying to become successful. And success is a personal thing. So you decide what success is for you. And we do this for ourselves, but we also put this onto others. So when we feel envy or when I felt envy, it's because somebody's achieved something that's a goal of mine. This is what I see as success. And when I see somebody else do it, I'm like, oh, don't get me wrong. I'm pleased for people. Like I'm not resentful of how they've done it or that it's happened to them. It's more like, why haven't I been able to do it? So it becomes about me. It becomes very egocentric. But we can use this as inspiration, right? And which I'll talk about a bit later. But I suppose what I'd really love us to do is like have that comparison, but a true reality check comparison. Have they just worked harder, or have they been lucky? Like we sometimes talk about being lucky in business, but is it a case that we make our own? And I'm asking this to the question: is this a case we make our own luck? Do people work so hard, and we can talk about what that really looks like, what that really means, but do people work so hard that it gets to the point where the success becomes inevitable? I don't know whether that's completely true, but we can compare this in sport. We can compare this with even the children we've taught or teaching currently. Those children who will read for half an hour every day, which might be hard work for some, even though they like it, obviously they wouldn't do it every day. Compare that to somebody who's perhaps only reading 3 times a week. Who's going to be out of children? Who's going to be the strongest reader? Now it could be there are some who's just genius at reading and they only need to read 3 times a week. So there's always anomalies. But essentially, if you played that out 100 times for 100 children over here who read half an hour a day versus 100 children here who only read 2 or 3 times a week, the group over here will be stronger readers, right? That's kind of like common sense. We know this because we've experienced it ourselves. Most of us would have taught probably upwards of 500 to 1,000 children over the course of our career, if not more. So we know that this time thing matters and the amount of effort we put in actually matters. Let's apply the same thing in our business. Let's have a group of business owners over here who are working hard, but we'll define that now. We'll put something a bit more tangible in there. We have this group of 100 business over here who are showing up on social media every single day for their business. Right, let's just use social media for now. And there's a group over here on the right-hand side who show up twice a week. Now, both of these models will grow a business. Right, so you are still showing up for your business. You're still putting in some effort. You're still making sure you're being semi-consistent with the content and your messaging is good. All of the really important things around business. But now let's compare the two. Now, the group over here, are these guys going to have a faster growing business than the other group? I mean, the likely answer is, for most cases, yes, just because we're showing up more. And also, I think there is something about energy and manifestation around this. Like you're just making things happen over here. You are still going to have a successful business, but it might just take a little bit longer if you're doing 2 posts a week. So we can bring hard work as part of the discussion. Now, let's define again, like actually how much hard work does it take to turn up every single day for your business on social media? Does it have to be, oh no, we have to think of a piece of content to go out every single day and it doesn't matter what it is and we're not going to think about next logical step, we're just going to show up? No, that's not what I'm talking about at all. And in fact, if we had a third group of 100 people who just thought of something new to post every single day, but did show up every single day, they still have an okay business, but they would be working really extra hard and probably still only getting the same results as somebody who's really thought out their plan but are only showing up twice a week. So there's still an element of let's work smart. Let's see if we can batch our social media content all together in a day and get 30 posts scheduled every Sunday morning or the first Sunday of every month. And then that way I know it's all done and my social media is covered with purpose rather than trying to, squeeze things in every day and trying to talk about something that doesn't really matter or a post, just sending out sales posts. So I think hard work is something that we definitely should be talking about, but in a wider context of what does that really mean for you? And then this is like the word luck. Oh, can we get lucky in business? I 100% think that people can get lucky in business, but it still starts with an action somewhere. Nobody's lucky enough to be just say, no one's going to walk up to you and go, oh, your lucky day today, I'm going to give you this business and it's going to work really well. Like you still have to decide that you are going to run a business and you still have to decide to take action so that your business is viable. But there's such thing as really good timing. It could be that you have created a service at the right time, put it in the right place for the right people, and it's just taken off. I often talk about my starting tuition. I feel like this is something that happened for me. I think I started properly in like the February time of year when people were looking for Kent test tutors. It's about 6 years ago. And so it was a no-brainer, right? The test is looming. We've got about 7 months left. People who hadn't already got tutors were looking for tutors. I'd put some information out on social media and it just took off. Well, that was just the right service at the right time to the right people. But luck on its own didn't make that work. I mean, it's lucky that I decided to do it at that time, but I did have a good reputation as a teacher. So those who I'd taught before had got, oh, Mr. C's tutoring, this would be really good. You really love Mr. C as a teacher. We'd love to hire you, right? And they'd send me a message. So I still think luck is attached to the actions that we've taken previously. So you still need to take action. You still need to work hard. And those who work hard usually grow a business faster, not always more successful in the long term, but faster essentially. And then it's deciding what that hard work is. I've been talking to you about social media and saying a group of 100 who post every day and it's all purposeful content versus a group of another 100 who maybe post twice a week. It just makes sense that this group's going to grow better or grow faster. But what other actions could we do in the same way? So being consistent and being visible for your business doesn't just have to mean social media. It might be that you're emailing. It might be that you're turning up to networking events. How many networking events can you do every single month? How many different school fairs could you turn up to? Have you got magnets on your car? Are you subscribing and putting your advert on billboards in your local town? Are you putting your posts into other groups on Facebook, for example? So there are other things that you could definitely put onto the table for this. And then, of course, there's the actual management of the business itself and the way that you show up for your clients and the children and young people that you work with, like making sure that's all taken care of. So recently in our 12-week course, we had the amazing Arthur Moore, and comes and delivers a session on pedagogy and why this is important in our business. So I love talking about like the strategy and the tactics and talking about the promotions and marketing and obviously the things which lots of us go, oh, we know this is important, but we might not really know what it means or how it applies to us. I cover all of that and I love talking about it. I get really, really excited when we get to talk about it because I get to geek out a little bit. It gives me an excuse to, I can justify watching YouTube videos and putting into place like training I've had in the past. But actually, at the root of what we offer is quite a serious service. We want to make sure we are making progress with the children that we're supporting, that we're taking them from point A to point B. And we do that by turning up and being a good teacher. So how are you keeping up to date with your CPD around that? Like, have you got an option for that? Is it all just business related at the moment? And actually we've forgotten about turning up as a good teacher. In fact, you're probably already a natural at it anyway. So it's not like a huge need. However, we do like to keep on top of our skills as teachers. We were encouraged to do that a lot I was encouraged to do that a lot within my teaching profession. Not always in the way that I completely wanted to, but now we have full control as a business owner. So who are you connecting with around this? And This again will play into the hard work versus luck, because when you're delivering a service, if it's high level, when you're able to deliver what you say you're able to deliver, people talk about it. And then that's you will look like you working hard in your business, making sure children make progress, working hard in your business, making sure like all the admin bits, the bits that actually grow your business are happening, like social media, emails, outreach, all those kind of things. When those things happen and they combine, your service is going to be high level, which means parents are going to talk about it. Word of mouth is always going to be the way that you grow. Always. I've watched some other people talk about tuition business recently, people in business, and they're saying that, you know, if you're only using word of mouth, then something's wrong. Now, I agree with this to a point. However, I think in all service industries, word of mouth is how most businesses grow, because that is proof. And we can call it whichever proof we want. Social proof, if you're using it on social media as testimonies. However, when parents talk to another parent about how their tuition is going, that is how your business grows. Somebody who I know who's made a huge success out of tuition, somebody who I met in China for the first time, when I was talking to him recently about business, and he doesn't do any advertising. He's never done any advertising. And I'm always like, wow, so that's just 100% word of mouth. And he's like, well, Richard, look, this is the way we see it. Every child or young person that we work with should generate at least 6 new clients, because that's how good we are. They will go and talk about it. Their parents will share. They're in that kind of network. It's a high net worth, not always ultra high net worth, but higher net worth families. They will go and talk to one another. We do a service where we really support them, and it's really high level, high quality. Then that person will go and talk about it, even that young person, but parents especially. If we focus on that, your business will only ever grow. Now, that's hard work, not luck. That's you spending time in your business, making sure that your service is high quality. Yes, we still need all these bits in the background, but your service is the thing that sells more services. So luck versus hard work. Where do you see this in your business? Have you seen other people benefit from luck? Do you know their backstory and what's happened in their route towards their successful business? Does it just look like luck from the outside? How hard are they really working? I connect with people and other businesses from outside of tuition a lot. So many people are like, look, businesses fail all the time, not because people don't have the business acumen. It's not because they don't have the ideal product. It's not because they haven't done the work over promotions or their ideal clients or messaging and all those things. Often it's because they underestimate how much work goes into keeping a business afloat and growing, until it gets to the point where where there's enough money coming in and you can outsource some work and you can bring new people on board, remove yourself from that work, and so on and so on. So hard work for me, you make your own luck to a certain degree. Yes, there can be factors that can really help if you time it right, but we shouldn't be looking to time our businesses. Let's just get out there, let's start doing the things we need to do and find the success that we all deserve. Right, I will speak to you very soon. I hope you're all absolutely well. If any of this resonated with you, or if you have anything to share, please message me in the usual space, either on Facebook, you can email in. But I'd also really love if you could give the podcast a review, because that really helps me understand that, one, you're really enjoying it and it's making a difference, but also that horrible algorithm thing, whether it's on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen, it just helps them understand that it is making a difference and it gets just pushed to more people. Well, I'll speak to you all soon, guys. Take it easy.